Hi. I believe that money supports me and money is always there for me when I need it. It comes from all kinds of places that sometimes I don't expect. I was raised to believe that hard work will yield money, and I certainly have had evidence of that in my life. But I'm also have evidence of when I value myself, when I value my services, when I value myself intrinsically, money can show up in the most interesting of ways. Each one of us has a money context. We have a way that we were raised to relate to it. Some people were raised by their parents to know how to make money, to know how to save money, to know how to feel comfortable around money. And then other people were raised like me, like my father never had a bank account. He believed that he didn't trust banks, believe it or not. And funny that I ended up working one many decades later, but he didn't trust banks and he liked to keep his money to himself. And he had this relationship with money that was he believed that the best things in life were free and he allowed money to come and go the way that it did. Now, that was great, and I admire him for that, but I believe, and I truly believe, that the best moments in life are free. And I also believe that money helps us in so many ways to create those moments. And I watched my mother struggle and figure out how to make ends meet, and she had a different relationship to money. My mother, potentially because she was married to my father, had this relationship of always wanting to get a bargain. So she always wanted to get buy the thing that was two for the price of one. And okay, how did that impact me? Well, I think when it came to the time when I started to make a lot of money in my life, the last thing I wanted to do was to go into a Marshalls or to buy something at discount. It made me want to do the opposite. Which, is a direct product of how I believed and what I believed about money, or at least it was a response. And so I started a few years ago to really question my beliefs about money. I was working on Wall Street earning a ton of money, and I recognized that wasn't making me happy. So that part where I was out of balance. So the price I was paying to earn the money and have the success, etc., became too much of a toll on my health and on my family. And so I made a bold decision to take a leap and a risk and give up my highly paying job to become an entrepreneur. I had no idea what that entailed at the time. And if I look back over the last 4 years, there's many, many, many things that I would do differently. Because generating money as an entrepreneur is a whole other story versus, getting a paycheck for doing what you were doing. I was doing it well and I was very well paid doing it, but I certainly didn't know how to navigate making money for myself or generating sales for my services and my products. So that had me really kind of take a step back because I wanted to understand what role money has in my life. And here's what I learned. So I learned that money is energy, that if you have a lack mentality, if you have a fear mentality, and if you think that money does not support you, money won't. Money is much like the relationship we have with money is much like the relationship we have with ourselves. When we trust ourselves, when we believe that we have our own back, then we do, and that's what we create and manifest in the world. I believe that what we create in the world very much is based on our beliefs. So I went from someone who believed that I wasn't worthy of money or that money was not the key to success, to recognizing the value in my money, especially because it allows me to share it with other people. And there's a great joy that I get from promoting and sharing my services or my money or my energy with other people. It's part of who I am. I'm a natural supporter. And I also recognize the times that I overdid that and didn't keep enough to sustain me and to sustain the life that I was wanting to live. So I would encourage each one of you to take a moment to think about, what were the voices that you heard when you were young? What did you hear? Some of us heard money is evil, right? So especially women. I grew up in a household where the man made the money. My mother wasn't, in fact, allowed to work. In those days, women were forced to give up their jobs once they had children in Ireland. So she was dependent on somebody else for her money. That, of course, made me very clear that I was going to go out and make my own money, and nobody was going to stand in the way of that. I probably overdid it. And those voices that said money, that women don't, there was certain voices that also I heard, or opinions that women don't know how to take care of money. We hear them all the time in the media. Women don't women don't know how to invest. Women will spend money much more recklessly than men. These are all messages, subliminally or not, that women get about how they are relating to money. And so some of those certainly impacted me and often made me avoid. Like when I was working on Wall Street, I will tell you, I did not look at my bank account from month to month. I knew that there was enough to cover what I needed, thank God, and I'm really grateful for that. But I wasn't smart with my money, right? I didn't have a relationship with it that I could trust myself to be able to invest it. I didn't trust myself to be able to really take good care of it. And I did leave some of that to my ex-husband, who, thank God, was a very honest man and made some good decisions, and we made some good decisions together. But I recognize now, looking back, that I wasn't standing in my full power of the money that I was earning. In fact, to me, it was a hindrance. It was a hindrance because it was standing me in the way of me actually being home with my children, which is another thing that I think women are conditioned to believe, that you can't have both. You can't be a mother and be fully present and be here and go out and earn the money, which is what we're all being asked to do, but we're all struggling with that a little bit. And so what I've come to learn over the last several years is that it's totally possible to do both. It requires making a decision to do that, and also it may require some trade-offs. So I've traded off money for being at home and being creative and being an entrepreneur for the last several years. And now I'm beginning to see that effort pay off and the money to start to flow back to me. And I think part of it has been my decision to really look at those beliefs that I had from my childhood that had me stuck in some kind of fear of money, fear of my responsibility around money. So I'd love to leave you with a couple of tips for you to take away. The first is, don't be afraid of your money. Get really up close and personal. I speak to my money. I take my wallet out and I put my money in a nice wallet. I keep it organized. I didn't always. I would have dollars flying out everywhere and people coming up to me in the subway pointing out that there was money hanging out. But now I truly treat it with the same sacredness that I would treat myself and my child, because I know that it represents something in my life that is sacred. And so that's the first tip. Treat your money well. I would say to say thank you every time money comes in, but also say thank you every time money goes out. So every time you have to pay a bill, I write on my check, thank you. Or if I'm at the register and I'm handing over my card, I will always say to myself, the more I spend, the more I receive. Knowing that money is an exchange, it's energy out and in. And in some ways, everything that you give out has to come back in. I would say, write a list of voices or words that you heard when you were young about money. Look at how you relate to it, and maybe write down 4 or 5 things that you heard about money as you were growing up, belief systems you got from your parents or grandparents, and ask yourself, is it really true? I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how you get on in this investigation or exploration into your relationship with money. My website is paulajennings.com. My email is paula@paulajennings.com. And feel free to reach out, text me, email me, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.